Just by casually looking back once, this Cinderella completely stole the young master's heart. And then by pure chance, the young master found out that Kay was working as a server right at his family's hotel, so he couldn't take his eyes off her at all. When his feelings surged, Pope couldn't hold back and wanted to go talk to her, but unexpectedly, he was interrupted by Pat, a scheming girl who came looking for him. The young master flatly refused the invitation and hurriedly chased after Kay outside. Just as he was about to go ask for her contact info, he was interrupted by a sudden phone ring. Pope hurriedly hung up the phone and kept chasing her, following Kay the whole way. He arrived at a shabby alley and saw her situation with his own eyes. Kay not only has a father addicted to gambling and a greedy mother, but also 3 good-for-nothing siblings. But who would have guessed that Kay, a girl who works a dozen jobs during the day, would almost get assaulted by 2 thugs when she got home at night? If she hadn't been saved by a kind mother and son passing by, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Seeing the girl he loved at first sight living such a tough life, the young master's eyes were filled with heartache and pity. He only dared to protect her silently and didn't dare to step up and bother her. The next day, when Pope was planning to look into Kay, he suddenly discovered that she came to his family's film crew for an interview. Turns out, the kind mother and son from last night not only saved Kay but also introduced her to this acting job. This moment, Kay came to audition without knowing that this place was actually the young master's family business. As for the young master, Pope, in order to get close to her, he decided that he would play the male lead role. He thought that being close and fast would help him quickly win the beauty, but unexpectedly, Pope was urged by his parents to marry a rich young lady. Not wanting to cause a scene, Pope suggested to his parents that he would go to the film crew to intern. His parents didn't understand the situation clearly, and had no idea that their son had fallen for the poor girl they always looked down on. Thanks to Kay's participation, the film crew received contract after contract. However, Kay never could have dreamed that, to create a chance to get close to her, Pope humbled himself and gave up his status as a rich heir to follow the film crew abroad and play the male lead, facing everyone's teasing. He didn't care at all because ever since falling for Kay at first sight, Pope's heart and eyes couldn't hold anyone else. Before long, everyone got into the swing of the happy and romantic filming process. By evening, Pope suddenly suggested that he wanted to stay with everyone in the budget dorm. The director was both happy and worried, not knowing that Pope only did that to find a chance to be alone with Kay. However, beautiful moments are always short-lived. But, who secretly loved Pope, not only looked for chances to get close to him but also took the opportunity to mock Kay. Turns out, Pope didn't know at all that yesterday because Kay missed the bus, she had agreed to let him drive her part of the way home. Unfortunately, Pat caught sight of this scene. Right after that, while Pope wasn't there, she came to insult Kay. He already has a fiancé and he also has a soulmate, which is me. As for you, a dirt poor girl, don't you dare have any ambitious thoughts. She thought her warning had worked, but surprisingly, Kay didn't even listen to it. Seeing the tense atmosphere, the director used a costume fitting as an excuse to take the 2 of them away. Seeing Kay leave, Pope didn't want to stay any longer either. After turning Pat down, he quickly joined up with everyone else. But Pat still didn't give up and trailed after him, even though Pope only had eyes for Kay. At this moment, Kay also noticed the way Pope was looking at her. Seeing the annoyed look on that other girl's face, Kay made an excuse about having something to do and left. Pope was also very persistent in chasing after her. But he had no idea that this action had completely angered Pat. She immediately called Pope's beautiful fiancé to report what was happening. She definitely wouldn't sit back and watch that poor, lowly girl Kay get the thing that she couldn't have herself. Not only that, she also pulled a double-faced trick. On one hand, she purposely showed Pope's mother the video clip that Kay and Pope acted in together. On the other hand, she added fuel to the fire by saying that Kay was trying to seduce Pope. She also rambled on about how today, right after receiving her acting fee, Kay went with her mother to deposit it in savings, looking just like a hillbilly with new money. Pope's parents, who were already arrogant people who looked down on others, quickly teamed up with that rich young lady's mother to hold a press conference. They wanted to quickly announce the relationship between the 2 families, determined not to let that poor girl have any chance. However, little did they know, their son agreed on the outside but was actually still relentlessly pursuing Kay. He kept saying he wanted to apologize for bumping into her the other day, and even played a romantic game of carrier pigeon. Finally, Kay forgave him. Pope was immediately as happy as a child, then tried every way to create accidental meetings with Kay. Just when he was about to convince Kay to take a ride in his car, unexpectedly, he was blocked halfway by a guy chasing after her. Turns out, yesterday when Kay and her mother went to deposit their savings, a guy named Athit, a bank employee, had noticed her. He not only helped her set up a financial plan but now also blatantly approached her, saying he wanted to discuss more about the deposit. On one side was the handsome, wealthy young master, and on the other was a guy pretending to be caring, approaching with an agenda. Because she was still wary of Pope's status, Kay finally chose to get into Athit's car. Upon arriving home, his parents immediately saw Pope's grumpy face and guessed for sure that it had to do with that poor girl. They then warned their son not to be sincere, forcing him to marry Lotta, the rich young lady who was a perfect match. Seeing her son still trying to argue, the mother set a condition allowing him to intern for 3 months at the film crew. Once the term was up, he had to go abroad to study with his fiancée and then return to get married. Pope didn't know that his parents were outwardly letting the tiger back into the woods, but in reality, they were secretly watching his every move. Seeing that Pope not only didn't know when to stop but also publicly showed affection for Kay, the father suggested that when necessary, he would step in to deal with her, because he had already clearly investigated Kay's background, and would absolutely not allow a poor, lowly girl to step into his family. To cut off Kay's relationship with her son, Pope's mother went to meet the director, demanding him to pressure her. The director knew well that Kay wasn't the type to be a social climber, but for the sake of his livelihood, he had to warn her. After that, Kay had to keep her distance from Pope, because she knew clearly that the two of them were not from the same world. But Pope still didn't give up. He begged Kay to give him a chance to explain, then took her to a suburban area. When Kay saw that the evil supporting female character she played also made it onto the promotional poster, she knew that it was all secretly arranged by Pope. Pope hoped Kay wouldn't give up on their love, just like how she didn't give up on her family no matter how bad they were. Feelings surged, and he instinctively kissed her. Kay finally couldn't bring herself to refuse. But there is always someone who doesn't want them to end up together. At the product launch where Pope was the representative, seeing his eyes still not leaving Kay, Pat was furious because the two were still entangled. She immediately blocked Kay's path, not giving her a chance to fight back, and threw out insults and mockery. Luckily, Athit arrived in time and rescued her. However, Kay didn't expect that Pat took the opportunity to snap a photo of her and Athit standing together and sent it to Pope's mother. No doubt about it, Pope got scolded again, forcing him to quickly marry the arranged fiancé, otherwise Kay would have to face the consequences. To protect Kay and plan for the long run, Pope came to say goodbye to her, saying that he had to go abroad to study for a while and hoped she would wait for his return. Kay could only remain silent. Her younger sister even teased that she would end up lovesick. It turns out, in everyone's hearts, they had already accepted Pope's status as a young master. Before leaving, Pope's mother told him to bring a gift for his fiancée. Pope replied that on this trip, he wouldn't do anything other than study. The father was angry. Before the plane took off, Pope sent a text message to Kay expressing his lingering affection, but unexpectedly, Athit saw it. While Kay wasn't paying attention, he secretly used her phone to reply, "Don't contact me anymore," and then deleted the message. Pope didn't understand what was happening but was clearly devastated. When he arrived abroad, he went to find his fiancée, and unfortunately, Pope caught Lotta right in the act with her boyfriend. Both of them knew exactly what was going on, so they spoke frankly to each other about everything. However, Pope didn't expect Lotta to have the nerve to say she would break up with her boyfriend immediately and would still hold the wedding with him as planned. Pope brutally refused. "Your boyfriend is very good. We are not a good match." Surprisingly, right after that, Lotta colluded with Pat to take photos showing Kay not only buying a luxury car but also hanging out with Athit all day, then sent them to Pope along with slanderous words. He didn't know that everything Kay had was earned by her own hard work, striving on her own so her whole family could live in a big house and drive a luxury car. As for Athit, Kay only saw him as an asset manager helping her, completely unaware that he approached her just to scam her. Knowing the true face of his fiancée, Pope immediately returned to the country fair and square to meet Kay, but he didn't expect Lotta to make the first move, playing the victim who cries thief while stealing. This time, Pope's parents finally had to use their ultimate move. They went straight to the company and warned everyone that if they found their son associating with that poor, lowly girl again, everyone would be fired. Not wanting everyone to lose their jobs because of her, Kay had to use Athit to reject Pope's confession right in front of him. Pope didn't understand what was happening, his heart cut with pain, and immediately listened to his parents' arrangement, deciding to fly abroad to cultivate feelings for Lotta. But before leaving, he still wanted to clear everything up. To save everyone's jobs, Kay finally heartlessly refused to explain. Even so, before boarding the plane, Pope still didn't give up and called Kay's best friend. He had no idea that on the other end of the line, Kay heard the phone ringing and cried silently. Seeing that their son had successfully gone abroad, Pope's parents kept their promise, signing 3-year contracts with everyone and tripling their salaries. They also forced Kay to hold a press conference, announcing that she was dating Athit, and at the same time clearing up all rumors with their son. To play the role perfectly, Kay went into a private room with Athit, unexpectedly falling into a trap that was already set without her knowing. Not only did Pat and Lotta team up with Pope's mother, but even Athit wanted to use this chance to do something dirty. In the end, Pope, who was completely unaware that Kay was in danger, became extremely miserable when he received the photo of Kay and Athit entering the room together. He didn't know that he himself was also about to be trapped and lose his innocence. A packet of sleeping drug was poured into the wine glass by his fiancée. Pope, completely off guard, drank it all in one go. The next second, half awake and half asleep, he looked at Lotta but thought she was Kay, the girl he had fallen madly in love with at first sight. After that, he dazedly spent the night with her. Pope really didn't expect that the girl he loved was also about to be drugged and harmed by someone else at this moment. The next morning, Pope finally woke up. Looking at the scene before his eyes left him stunned. The young master had no idea that he had hit the top search trends. Not only did his parents know about it, but Lotta's mother even came to his house to discuss the wedding. Turns out, while he was fast asleep, his fiancée had quietly arranged everything for her plan. Now that everything was exposed, she played the role of a pitiful victim. Right after that, both Pope and Lotta received calls from their parents. Pope told his mother that he was an adult and would take responsibility for what he had done. Then, without a single doubt, he apologized to his fiancée, not only saying he would take responsibility but also promising to follow all her arrangements. But afterwards, he still realized something was off and asked why their photos were leaked. At this moment, Lotta explained that because he was too drunk. He not only mistook her for Kay but also insisted on taking photos to post. A weak girl like her couldn't refuse. Just like that, Pope became the scapegoat for no reason. He promised to take good care of Lotta without knowing that, elsewhere, Kay was in extreme pain after seeing the news, crying silently. And who would have guessed? She herself had just gone into a room with Athit to dispel rumors with Pope, and almost got harmed by him and lost her purity. Luckily, at the critical moment, Kay discovered a woman's nightgown in Athit's room. This unintentionally saved her life. Because he was too nervous, Athit accidentally knocked over the glass of water containing the sleeping drug. But Kay didn't expect Athit to still make this matter public. Because of this, her mother not only scolded her severely, blaming her for not protecting herself, not listening to advice, and going into a private room with Athit only to get secretly photographed. If her younger sister hadn't stepped in to help, the consequences would be unpredictable. The mother angrily said, "That guy Athit is really not a good person. I warned your sister so many times but she wouldn't listen." Something almost happened. Just escaping from Athit, then getting beaten and scolded by her mom at home, Kay felt she was unlucky enough. However, the most painful thing hadn't arrived yet. When seeing the image of Pope's fiancée officially announcing the news in that moment, Kay felt her life had completely lost its meaning. At the same time, Goldie, Kay's best friend, also saw the news storming the internet and worriedly called her. But as soon as she picked up, Kay finally couldn't hold it in anymore and burst into tears. Realizing something was wrong, Goldie rushed to Kay's house and found her unconscious. Her younger sister Prang acted coldly, saying that her sister didn't listen to mom's advice, so she brought it on herself, and then she also left. Goldie had to suggest taking Kay to her own home to take care of her. Little did she know. Right now Athit was giving an interview to the media. He hinted that the two of them were indeed dating. Regarding going to his apartment, he said it was because Kay proactively asked to see it. Both of them stayed in the bedroom for a very long time. It must be said that he intentionally answered vaguely, planting bad thoughts about Kay in everyone's minds, once again pushing her into a miserable situation. After waking up at her best friend's house, Kay was advised by Goldie and her mother to break up with Athit, because as outsiders, they saw very clearly that he only wanted to scam her money. Kay agreed on the surface, thinking that besides her best friend, no one else worried about her. Kay had no idea that her younger sister had tried every way, not only to get close to Pope's father, Mr. Chan, but also to make him miss her, and even desire her. Later, when Kay came to demand an explanation, Athit hurriedly put on an act, saying that during the interview, because he was afraid of losing her. He was nervous and spoke incoherently, and said that he really loved her. Without a doubt, facing Athit's confession, Kay softened her heart once again. Meanwhile, Pope, who had no idea what Kay had been through, brought Lotta back to the country to discuss the wedding. Taking this opportunity, the fiancé suggested moving into the villa beforehand. Pope was angry but didn't dare to speak out, and had to stay right by her side, enduring it patiently. As a result, while taking Lotta shopping, he unexpectedly met Kay and her mother again. This was also the first time the two officially met face-to-face after a series of surrounding rumors. Pope didn't expect his patience to be exchanged for his fiancée's unruliness. After throwing out enough mockery, she even announced to Kay to come to her and Pope's engagement party in 3 days. Hearing this news, Kay was very disappointed, made an excuse that she was busy, and hurriedly left. But she didn't expect that after she left, Pope quickly blocked Kay's best friend's path. Facing Goldie's sarcastic congratulations on finding a beauty, Pope didn't care at all and said, "The person I love from beginning to end has always been Kay. Please pass on a message for me, tell her to wait for me." Meanwhile, Mr. Chan was also facing a relentless attack from Prang. He tried to act like a good husband, but he never could have dreamed that Mrs. Kessie would use this chance to suggest, "We are getting old. How about we start sleeping separately from today? My friends all sleep separately from their husbands, each has their own life. It's very comfortable." She didn't know that she was paving the way for someone else. In another development, Kay overlooked the past, went to find Athit, and gave him an envelope of her money. He gently swore, "Keeping money with me is definitely much safer than with your mother." This moment, Kay completely didn't know that Athit was nice on the surface but had actually started playing tricks behind her back. After that, Goldie advised Kay that not only must she go to Pope's engagement party, but she must also dress gorgeously, appearing to outshine everyone, making those who looked down on her speechless. Kay originally didn't want to attract attention, but because her best friend was too enthusiastic, she had to agree. Soon enough, Pope's engagement day arrived. Just as everyone was happily taking photos, someone shouted, "The groom's ex-girlfriend is here." The Cinderella gorgeously appeared at the young master's engagement party. Unexpectedly, as soon as she showed up, she not only made the young master stunned on the spot, but also immediately attracted all eyes of the media. Fourth, how could the future bride let Kay steal all her attention? Lotta hurriedly stepped up to cause trouble, but she didn't expect that the media suggested Pope and Kay take photos together, and didn't even wait for anyone to agree but directly pushed the two closer. Pope thoroughly enjoyed the moment of standing in the same frame with Kay, but not wanting to cause more trouble. In her haste she had a small mishap, but unexpectedly looked very romantic with Pope. Seeing everyone happily playing matchmaker, Lotta was furious and hurriedly separated the two. Kay also took the chance to leave, but unexpectedly the media continued to follow her. Pope's fiancée was so angry she couldn't speak. Before long, under the father's blessing, the engagement party officially began. After a round of pleasantries, it was Pat's turn to control the stage. But what surprised everyone was that she took this opportunity to mock and humiliate Kay. She suggested that, as the young master's rumored girlfriend, Kay should come up to the stage to give a congratulatory speech. This moment, Kay's heart felt like it was tightening. Seeing the best friend angry while Kay was like sitting on fire, at this moment, a famous young master noticed the situation. He stood up, walked to Kay's side, not only using the status of a dance partner to cheer her on, but also in broad daylight, took Kay up to the stage. Pat could only be jealous to the point of going crazy. Why are there always such elite men around this poor, lowly girl? The young master winked at Kay in a meaningful way, like a dose of reassurance. After that, Kay looked straight at Pope for a long time, then with teary eyes wished him and the bride a lifetime of happiness. Seeing herself completely overshadowed by Kay, Lotta immediately criticized Pope right in front of everyone. This moment he also couldn't give in. The two argued right at the party. Compared to Kay, Prang was not that lucky. She was not only caught in the act by a woman but also beaten repeatedly. The wife and her friends rushed up together. If Mrs. Kessie hadn't spoken up to stop it to save face, the consequences would be unpredictable. Mr. Chan also hurriedly changed the subject to cover it up. Kay at that time also didn't clearly see that the person being beaten was her own younger sister. Not wanting to stay and endure more humiliation, Kay went out to find Prang. Little did she know, her sister was not only blocked by Mr. Chan but also invited by him to a lavish meal. Prang continued to use the honey trap to control him. Just when Mr. Chan intended to go further, he was interrupted by a phone ring, and had to leave first. Right after that, the two sisters met. Through the conversation, Kay realized her sister also came here and caused trouble, her heart burning with anxiety. But she completely didn't know that Prang had successfully controlled the powerful Mr. Chan afterward. To blow off some steam, the younger sister dragged Kay to a bar. Unexpectedly, as soon as they arrived, they were spotted by Dumathit's girlfriend, who came over to pick a fight. However, this girl didn't expect that Prang was no pushover either. Seeing her picking a fight with her sister, the younger sister struck first. As for Athit, so that Kay wouldn't discover the truth, he acted like a coward. Seeing her sister and the other girl fighting endlessly, Kay didn't want to make a big scene, so she quickly dragged Prang away. Who would have guessed that as soon as they got outside they met Pope? He didn't say a word and hurriedly pulled her away. It turns out, after the engagement party ended, Lotta returned to Pope's villa and started throwing a tantrum, showing none of the grace or maturity of a rich young lady. She not only made Pope unable to stand it and leave, but even his parents were extremely disappointed with her behavior. Therefore, while his mind was a mess, Pope went to find Kay. He took her to his private space and told her about his past. Just as Kay was immersed in the story, she couldn't have expected that Pope would make the setting even more romantic. Images of their first meeting, getting to know each other, and falling in love but not being able to be together suddenly rushed back into her mind. Listening to Pope use music to express his love and longing, she couldn't hold back her feelings anymore. She stepped forward to hold Pope's hand, But just a second later, she hurriedly ran away. Pope hurriedly chased after her and confessed his love once again, promising, "Please give me some time, don't give up on me. I believe that one day we will belong to each other." Seeing Pope's sincere feelings, Kay finally softened her heart. Her nod was seen as an answer for Pope. At this moment, neither of them knew that Kay's younger sister had decided to play matchmaker for them. Once again, Prang came up with the idea to approach Pope's father. She wanted to take revenge for her sister in the fastest way possible. Seeing Mr. Chan walking alone into a luxury restaurant, Prang quickly staged an accidental meeting. As expected, Mr. Chan immediately recognized her and proactively came over to say hello, inviting her to sit with him. She teased, "Why is no one having lunch with you, sir?" And he awkwardly explained, just moments ago, he had actually invited his wife to come along, but he was flatly rejected by Mrs. Kessie with the excuse, "We are an old couple, let's not play romantic games anymore. We should focus on our careers." She didn't expect that her peace of mind and refusal would create an opportunity for this young girl. Hearing her tell about her tragic situation where her parents died in a car accident and she was pitifully raised by her grandmother since childhood, Pope's father sympathized deeply and even offered to take her out. Unexpectedly, the girl cleverly refused. He immediately felt that this girl was very well educated, not knowing that she was just playing hard to get. Later, Mr. Chan heard his wife complain that their son was not only entangled with that poor girl, but also abandoned his fiancée halfway to go meet Kay. While he was having a headache over this, he called Prang, directly complaining about the evil poor girl who was clinging to his son. Unexpectedly, this action angered her. She bluntly asked him, "If I were even lower than her, would you still be friends with me? You know I'm not that kind of girl. I'm much better than her." It's truly a mystery where he got the confidence to say those words. After she stopped being angry, Prang went to find Mr. Chan. After putting on a miserable act, she ceaselessly praised him for being powerful and having a successful career. To bridge the gap, she even called him little brother right in front of everyone. This trick really hit the mark, making him feel extremely happy inside. Right after that, using the excuse that she had been poor since childhood, he took her out to broaden her horizons. The place he took her to was a deserted beach, and his purpose went without saying. The two of them talked all night. Seeing that the girl was still reserved, he didn't dare to cross the line. But when his feelings surged, he couldn't hold back and kissed her, and even pinned her down. Unexpectedly, the time was not yet ripe. The girl felt she hadn't hooked his desire enough yet, so she refused him right on the spot. As for Mr. Chan, to keep his image as a good man, he also didn't dare to act recklessly. But when taking Prang home before saying goodbye, he gently kissed her one more time. The young girl appeared extremely surprised and confused. Seeing that, Mr. Chan replied, "I'm sorry, I couldn't control myself." That night at home, he became lovesick, constantly texting Prang and completely immersing himself in what he called love. Meanwhile, seeing her daughter brought home by the young master, the mother was as happy as if she had struck gold. When parting ways, Pope couldn't control himself and was about to kiss Kay. Unexpectedly, this scene was accidentally seen by Athit. He angrily mocked Pope for truly wanting to have it both ways. Pope knew he was in the wrong, so he quietly left. The next day, when Athit came to pick Kay up for work, she suggested visiting his sick mother. Unexpectedly, he immediately refused, using the excuse that it wasn't convenient for outsiders to disturb her, fearing infection. The mother was angry because Kay didn't listen to her advice and was still ambiguously entangled with Athit. Kay only hoped her mother could treat him the way she treated Pope. Then, seeing Kay had no suspicion at all and even spoke up for him, Athit took advantage of the situation. "I am an ordinary man, I can't give you other things, but I can definitely give you a family and stable happiness, helping you escape your current terrible family." Facing his promises, Kay naively believed she had met true love. Seeing the time was right, Athit suggested borrowing Kay's car to visit his mother. Seeing she agreed, he pushed his luck. "I saw there's some money in your account. Could you help me with a little bit to take care of my mom?" Kay thought for a long while and then agreed. "I'll transfer it to you this afternoon." Little did she know, right after that, Athit took this money and gave it to Dum. In another development, Pope completely didn't know that Kay had been deceived because of her lack of security. As soon as he landed at the airport, he bumped into a younger female neighbor. The two gave each other a friendly hug, but unexpectedly this scene was secretly photographed, and once again quickly climbed to the top search trends. Kay couldn't believe it. Pope had just gotten engaged to his fiancée the other day, confessed to her yesterday, and today he was trending with another girl. Added to her mother's scolding and pressure from Athit, Kay did something foolish. The young master, who had just consummated the relationship with Lada in the morning, heard from another man's mouth in the afternoon that she was pregnant. While still in shock, he didn't know that this person was his fiancé's ex-boyfriend. Turns out, Lada was angry because Pope had just gotten engaged to her yesterday but was already missing Kay today. In a fit of rage, Lotta intended to delete all of Kay's photos, but unexpectedly provoked Pope, causing him to lay a hand on her. Afraid that Lotta would have a miscarriage, the ex-boyfriend not only stepped in to stop it but also hit Pope. Pope didn't understand what was going on, so the guy said bluntly, "She's pregnant. Don't be violent with her." Unexpectedly, as soon as this sentence was uttered, the fiancé's ace card instantly lost its value. Compared to her confusion and panic, Pope seemed much more relieved. He said congratulations and then handed his fiancée over to her ex-boyfriend. Finally, fearing her ex-boyfriend's unsavory background, Lotta didn't dare to tell the truth. Grasping this weakness, that night Pope made an appointment to talk to her. Knowing she was in the wrong, Lotta humbled herself, throwing away her usual arrogance, and begged him because of their many years of affection to temporarily not return to the country, to save face for her. Or at least wait until the baby is born before canceling the engagement. Hearing this, Pope quickly softened his heart, but still made it clear that later they would go their separate ways. The fiancé helplessly agreed. However, Pope didn't know that his soft-heartedness would soon give the cunning Lotta another opportunity. Afterward, Pope continued to stay abroad to continue his studies. He was completely unaware that Kay, after being emotionally wounded by him, had taken drastic action and was rushed to the emergency room by her mother and Athit. Right after that, Pat informed Pope's parents that the story about Kay attempting suicide because of love had climbed to the top search trends. Since Kay was a contract employee of the company, Mr. Chan immediately panicked, but he didn't suspect at all that Pat had conspired with Athit to exaggerate the story of Kay's suicide. He wanted to use this opportunity to ruin Kay's reputation, making her completely leave Pope and accept him, but Athit didn't expect that the hospital director, when interviewed, would state, "Kay just took a little too much cold medicine and slept soundly, it's nothing to worry about." It was just the parents being overly worried about their daughter and blowing things out of proportion. Athit didn't understand why his plan failed, not knowing that Mr. Chan himself, wanting to protect the company's reputation and Kay's role as the evil supporting female character, had informed the director in advance. Whatever the reason, fortunately, Kay successfully escaped a calamity. Her best friend rushed over upon hearing the news, and Kay immediately burst into tears. But she had no idea she had been set up by Athit. To salvage the situation, he stayed at the hospital as her boyfriend and accepted interviews. Athit also unilaterally announced his relationship with Kay, shamelessly saying that Kay loved him too much and was afraid he would have a change of heart. So she took some medicine and fell asleep. Unexpectedly, these self-scripted and self-acted words reached Pope abroad. He was immediately heartbroken, thinking that Kay had finally abandoned him to choose Athit. But after the heartbreak, he still called Kay's best friend. By this time, Kay had been discharged and was staying at Goldie's house. Mentally exhausted, now having to face Pope, Kay frankly suggested breaking up. "You are engaged and about to get married. It's time to put an end to our relationship." "That's impossible," Pope replied, "because you have completely stolen my heart." Kay looked helpless. Even so, Pope finally kept his promise to his fiancée and didn't mention her pregnancy. Her best friend advised Kay not to torture herself anymore, to quickly cut ties with Athit because he only approached Kay for money. Later, seeing her daughter brought home by a young man, the mother was angry because Kay not only lent Athit her car again, but also secretly gave him a sum of money to deposit in savings without telling her. "Do you know he is scamming you?" Kay didn't listen and even argued back. This action angered the mother, and she screamed while putting on an act. Finally, Kay had to compromise and promise that whatever money she earned in the future, she would give it to her mother to keep. Having advice from her best friend and mother, plus the fact that the night before, Kay discovered a familiar girl's phone number in the diary Athit left behind, she confronted him the next day. "Before me, have you ever dated any other girl?" Seeing Kay start to get suspicious, he quickly changed the subject and then played the pity card again, saying that his mother was seriously ill. He took care of her day and night so he had no mind for anything else, but soon he might need a large sum of money. "But don't worry. In the future my mother and I will cherish and take care of you." Because of this, Kay softened her heart again and was deceived by Athit time after time. It's truly said that insiders are blind to their own situations. To smoothly take possession of Kay's assets, Athit started a relentless pursuit mode. Whether going to work or getting off work, Kay saw him. At this time, he not only transformed into a warm, thoughtful guy but also showed care for Kay down to every small detail. Seeing the time was ripe, Athit suggested Kay move in with him. "I really want to protect you. I don't want you to suffer in that family anymore." Perhaps because Kay lacked family love so much, when she met someone who treated her well, she naively couldn't distinguish between truth and falsehood. But when recalling memories with Pope, she couldn't help but burst into tears. Unexpectedly, this action was interpreted by Athit as her being moved by his words. After that, Athit took Kay home. This moment, Kay suddenly received a text message from Pope. I don't believe you will really marry Athit. Pope never could have dreamed that this sentence directly provoked Kay. Recalling Athit's recent actions, she finally couldn't hold back and said, I will arrange to move in with you. He didn't understand why Kay suddenly agreed, but still hurriedly confessed I love you, and then while the iron was hot, asked Kay to do something to show her love for him. Kay helplessly kissed him. She didn't know that on the outside she agreed, but inside her heart was bleeding, because she understood that there was always an insurmountable distance between her and Pope. It was better to leave it like this so Pope would completely lose hope. After the heartbreak, late at night, Kay and Prang talked all night. The younger sister loved her sister who had suffered too much hurt in both family and love, and advised her to stand up and fight back, because she felt that taking revenge would make herself feel more valuable. Kay stopped her sister, saying that doing so would only cause both of them to get hurt. At this moment, Kay completely didn't know that Prang was secretly taking revenge for her, and was even about to go meet Mr. Chan. This time, he invited the young girl to his private villa. Prang also knew well that the time was ripe, but when he offered a few drinks, she still pretended to be innocent. I have never drunk alcohol, surely one sip will make me drunk. Indeed, under his secretly observing eyes, she only took a sip. Late at night, the girl woke up before him. She swore that one day she would definitely make him the one who always looked down on the poor. Pay with blood. She didn't know that not long after, she herself would have to pay the price for what she did today. While she was thinking to herself, Mr. Chan suddenly woke up. Prang immediately got into character. I told you one sip would make me drunk. The thing I feared most has finally happened, and it even broke your existing life. Facing the girl's reasonableness, he hurriedly promised, my age is not a problem. From now on, I will be responsible for the rest of your life. Just like that, he was completely held in the palm of Kay's sister's hand. To keep the young girl forever loyal to him, he quickly bought her a luxury car. It must be said that this action truly surprised Prang, as, besides taking revenge for her sister, she herself had a bit of a desire for vanity. Now, without spending any effort, she had things she didn't even dare to think of. She was both happy and promised him that in the future she would be obedient. Absolutely not go to crowded places to show off. For this whole life I will only be your wife. Right after that, Prang drove the luxury car home. Seeing the greedy looks on her mother and sister's faces, Kay couldn't help but worry. At this moment, she completely didn't know that her sister had taken down Mr. Chan. Later, facing text messages expressing longing from Pope, Kay didn't want to continue the entanglement so she ignored them. Unexpectedly, the mother noticed. Someone like your sister can rise up. Why do you still refuse to cut ties with that guy Athit? Are you waiting for him to scam all your money and then dump you? Seeing Kay still stubborn, the mother angrily intended to strike her again. Luckily, the younger sister stopped her in time. Unexpectedly at this moment, the mother took the opportunity to ask who bought Prang the luxury car. Afraid everything would be exposed, she hurriedly changed the subject. Meanwhile, Pope's father came home and heard his wife say that their son had moved out to live on his own. Something definitely happened between the two of them. This moment, the younger sister seemed quite sober. She thought that the fiancé must have done something wrong to her brother, otherwise he wouldn't abandon her like that. After her mother and sister left, seeing the message Pope sent again. I know you haven't forgotten me and I still love you. Can it be that despite this, you still want to marry Athit? Kay's heart broke once again. The next day, Athit still came to pick Kay up for work as usual. Before Kay could say anything, he started acting out the pity play, saying that his mother had to undergo major surgery and needed a very large sum of money. Consider this me borrowing from you first. Even if I have to kneel and kowtow, it's fine. Kyo heard this and didn't hesitate, saying she'd convince her mom tonight. That evening, Kyo got another text from Pop. I miss you so much. Kyo was just about to reply when her mom came home. To save Athit's mom, Kyo lied to her own mom that she needed money for work and wanted to borrow some extra cash. Unexpectedly, her mom saw right through her trick immediately, knowing she was being played by him again. Luckily, this time she didn't lash out. But unexpectedly, the very next day, her daughter was talked into going to the police by Athit, claiming she had lost her savings book. Kyo didn't suspect a thing, did as she was told, and then signed off to transfer the money to him herself. She had no idea that after getting the money, Athit gave it straight to Dum. Turns out, that woman used being pregnant as an excuse to pressure Athit. If he didn't buy her a luxury car and a big house, she would expose everything to Kyo. Now that she got the hush money, he warned his lover not to cause him any more trouble. Meanwhile, Kyo's mom discovered that all the money in her account had vanished into thin air. At this point, Kyo had no clue, having signed the check earlier out of trust without looking closely. Now, with the money gone and trouble brewing, looking at the balance in her mom's account was heartbreaking. Her mom couldn't believe it and went to the bank counter to confirm. But with things at this stage, worrying was useless. She could only go find Kyo to get to the bottom of it. Unexpectedly, She was told by Godi that Kyo didn't come to the film set today. The mother panicked and questioned Ongwan and the friend if they knew about Kyo secretly transferring the money. Clearly, both of them were totally shocked. However, the people worrying about the stolen money had no idea that Athit's greed was growing day by day. He realized that scamming money through pity and playing the victim wasn't a long-term plan. He also quickly hung up on the call from Kyo's mom. After that, using the excuse of taking Kyo home, he took her straight to a motel. At this point, Kyo was very drunk. Athit first took a few staged photos. Unexpectedly, his touch woke Kyo up. In this situation, Kyo finally felt scared. She hurriedly stood up to resist and tried to run away. It was also right at this moment that she realized his true colors. But with the difference in strength, she was overpowered by him in just a few moves. Now, Kyo was extremely regretful, and Athit decided that since he had already gone this far, he might as well possess her first and deal with it later. Meanwhile, Pop had no idea Kyo was in danger, and suddenly got a call from his neighbor girl. She said she was pregnant and had been dumped by her boyfriend. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Prang was set up by Mr. Chan to stay in a luxury villa. The girl pretended to be extremely grateful. This moment, he had no clue that a nightmare was beginning to descend. As for Kyo, the poor girl had been made drunk by the jerk and taken to a hotel. He lost all humanity. Not only did he secretly film a video, but he also planned to do dirty things to her. But he didn't expect Kyo to wake up and fight back with all she had. However, in the end, due to the difference in strength, she was still overpowered. Right then, Kyo's phone rang. While Athit was distracted, she quickly grabbed the phone to call for help, but he managed to snatch it back. Seeing the call from Pop overseas, he picked up and bragged, "She's about to become my woman." Pop sensed something was wrong and was burning with anxiety, but he was too far away to help right then. At this moment, Kyo realized the danger and hurriedly hid in a small room. She felt completely helpless. Just when she thought she couldn't escape his trap, a miracle happened. When Athit broke down the door and rushed in, Kyo had already managed to escape. He was furious. Too scared to go home, Kyo went to her best friend's house. Having met such a loser, she was now filled with regret, choking back tears and unable to speak. Then she heard Godi say, "Your mom was just here. That bastard Athit scammed all your savings." Things couldn't get any worse. Her best friend advised Kyo to look on the bright side and start over. But her friend didn't expect that this time, Kyo wouldn't choose to stay silent anymore, and was determined to confront Athit face to face. Seeing Kyo wouldn't listen and was set on doing things her way, Godi hurriedly called Ongwan. As a result, when Kyo barged into the room, she was stunned by the scene before her eyes. After the shock, remembering the time she coincidentally met and clashed with that woman, no matter how naive she was, Kyo figured out who she was. Seeing their plan ruined and the money train coming to a stop, the two women lunged at each other. Athit hurriedly stepped in to stop them, trying to hold Kyo back. She screamed in anger. At this point, Dum took the opportunity to act superior, insulting Kyo and saying she was too stupid for letting Athit play her like a fiddle. Provoked, Kyo demanded Athit return all the money he scammed. Even then, he continued acting like a total jerk. "Isn't it fine to keep things as they are? I'll split my time equally between both of you." Seeing this, Kyo was both angry and shocked, while the other girlfriend wouldn't let it go. Looking at this trashy couple, Kyo was completely disappointed and walked away sadly. Unexpectedly, Athit didn't give up and chased after her, even trying to turn the tables. Just as Kyo fell into the tiger's den again, at the critical moment, Kyo's two best friends arrived in time to save her, working together perfectly. Ongwan took care of that bastard Athit, while Godi filmed the whole thing. Kyo was injured, so their actions were considered self-defense. Her best friend warned him that if he dared to resist, she would expose everything he had done. Just like that, thanks to her friend's help, Kyo finally managed to turn the tables. Athit was miserably defeated and got beaten to a pulp. Ongwan advised Kyo to get a full health checkup. As for the car keys, apartment keys, and the stolen money, he would handle it all. Meanwhile, worried about Kyo after that phone call, Pop hurriedly flew back to the country. Unexpectedly, he suddenly got a call from the neighbor girl, saying she was pregnant, abandoned by her boyfriend, and afraid she wouldn't live much longer. Hearing the unusual tone in the girl's voice, Pop rushed over, but he was a step too late. As for Athit, he quickly had to face the consequences. Not only did Kyo's mom call to demand the money back, threatening to cause a scene at his workplace, but he was also cornered and had to call Kyo, trying to act pitiful again to win her over. Unexpectedly, Dum interrupted, blaming Kyo for clinging to Athit and not letting go. Kyo angrily hung up the phone. With his plan ruined once again, the guy furiously beat his girlfriend. As a result, she had a miscarriage. It could be considered karma for both of them. Afterward, Athit blamed all the pain of losing his child on Kyo. He even forced Kyo to watch with her own eyes as he threw her car into the sea. At this point, Kyo must have realized that her stubbornness and naivety had pushed her to a dead end. However, before she could even calm down, she heard the news that her younger sister was pregnant and had fainted in a bar. Talk about a small world. At the same time Athit brought his girlfriend to the hospital, Kyo also brought her sister to the emergency room. And at that same moment, Pop also brought his neighbor girl to the emergency room, but the doctor informed him the situation wasn't looking good and told him to prepare for the worst. But Pop didn't expect that his presence had been spotted by Athit. He quickly saw Kyo and immediately realized her family was in trouble again, not forgetting to mock her. And he even got physical with Kyo without hesitation. This time she didn't back down at all. Unexpectedly, that action provoked him, and he was about to hit her. At that critical moment, Pop finally had the chance to play the hero saving the damsel. However, just as one trouble passed, another arrived. The mother was caught red-handed due to her gambling addiction. Pop hurriedly took Kyo to the police station to bail out her mom. Because of her mom and sister, Kyo was once again pushed into the eye of the storm. Ongwan, as Kyo's close friend, stood up to clear her name in front of the prying cameras. Seeing the media was still skeptical, he quickly blocked the main culprit, Athit, and publicly declared, all the rumors and bad stories about Kyo were single-handedly fabricated by this scum. To prevent him from denying it, Kyo's friend said that he not only had proof but had also called the police. But Athit still tried to argue. And just as he was about to keep smearing Kyo, Pop arrived right in the nick of time. He quickly handled that scammer Athit, not giving him a chance to ruin Kyo's reputation. Before long, Mr. Chan heard that Kyo's sister had a miscarriage and was hospitalized. And her mom lost at gambling and ended up at the police station. He couldn't help but mock Kyo's lowly family right in front of Prang. He had no idea that this comment was like rubbing salt in her wound. The girl felt it was time to close the net. After that, Pop comforted Kyo. I won't leave again. From now on, I'll always be by your side. The two of them had no idea that this sweet scene made Athit see red with jealousy. He immediately called Mrs. Kusi, saying he had proof that her son was still seeing Kyo. Meanwhile, Pop, who had no clue that danger was approaching, confessed his love to Kyo. Please give me another chance. Lada and I are over. After thinking for a long time, Kyo finally spoke up. Don't make things difficult for everyone because of me anymore. Your parents already don't like me, and I still have to take care of my family. Pop told her that they would definitely find a way to make it work for everyone. Unexpectedly, right after that, both of them had to face the harsh reality, because Mr. Chan absolutely refused to accept Kyo's good-for-nothing family no matter what. He warned his son, if you insist on seeing her and don't marry the fiancé the family arranged, I will cut off our father-son relationship and remove your name from the family tree. Not only will you not get a single cent of the inheritance, but if necessary, I will make Kyo disappear. As for Kyo, her mother was back to her old ways after getting out of the police station. To get money to keep partying, she even planned to sell Kyo to a wealthy man. Kyo felt completely helpless. Just like that, the two who truly loved each other could only express their longing over the phone. Neither of them knew that Pop's father went to see Kyo's sister, telling her that his son had turned against him because of that wicked woman. At that moment the girl asked, what if they are determined to be together? Unexpectedly, he replied without hesitation, then I'll remove her name from my film crew, or make her disappear. He had no idea that the more he hated Kyo, the more he fueled Prang's desire for revenge. As a result, while Mr. Chan was on the phone, she started carrying out her plan. However, Pop not only disobeyed his father but also insisted on begging Kyo not to give up on him, to show that he was ready to fight back. He even invited Kyo to attend the funeral of the girl from the previous rumors, because that girl was the daughter of a wealthy family and grew up with him, so they were as close as siblings. Now that she had passed away and had no more use to them, his parents wouldn't allow him to pay his respects. Seeing that Pop was a loyal person, Kyo agreed to go with him, but she hoped he would follow his parents' arrangements and go back to finish his studies first. Pop agreed. Right after that, Kyo and Pop attended the girl's funeral, but they never dreamed that Athit was stalking them and sending everything they did to Pop's mom. It turns out that from his previous phone call, Mrs. Kusi clearly understood the bad blood between Athit and Kyo. She met with him and demanded he work for her, just to seize every opportunity to take Kyo down. Kyo, who knew absolutely nothing about this, was suddenly blocked by the media after the ceremony and questioned if she was seeing the young master. At that moment, Kyo spotted Athit and quickly ran away while no one was paying attention. Luckily, Pop appeared just in time to rescue her. The two of them went to a quiet place. Pop didn't understand why the media wouldn't let it go. Kyo then realized and suspected that Athit was the one who planned to bring her down. She quickly suggested that they shouldn't meet for a while, saying that having each other in their hearts was enough. But before the storm hit, Pop didn't want to miss a single moment with Kyo. He looked at her affectionately. I'm so happy you cut ties with Athit. I know you have to shoulder so many responsibilities. I hope that no matter how hard it gets, you won't give up on me. However, Pop didn't expect Kyo to ask him to forget her, fearing she couldn't wait until the day they could officially be together. Meanwhile, Mr. Chan found that a day without seeing Prang felt like an eternity. Even at home, he couldn't resist video calling just to see her. But he had no idea that this very action was how his wife discovered a clue. Turns out that while following Kyo, Athit accidentally discovered that Kyo's sister was not only driving a luxury car lately, but also seemed to be living a very wealthy life. His wife remembered that her past calls to her husband were always answered immediately, but recently, he hadn't picked up several times. She had no idea that her husband had been drugged by Prang and was in a deep sleep. Now, looking at the photos Athit sent with a woman's intuition, she turned to ask her son. It looks like Kyo's sister has snagged a sugar daddy. Unexpectedly, her son told her not to be a busybody. Anyway, that sugar daddy isn't dad, so why worry yourself for nothing? He really couldn't have predicted that he would soon regret saying that. A few days later, the day came for Pop to go abroad. Before leaving, he went to see Kyo and told her she must wait for him, promising to finish his studies quickly and return. However, as soon as he arrived abroad, trouble struck. It turned out his fiancée couldn't determine if the baby in her belly belonged to her current boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, or Pop. Pop thought for a second and said, "Just have the baby and get a test. If it's mine, I'll take responsibility." Seeing Pop agree so quickly, Lotta took the opportunity to ask him to go to the church with her to make merit and pray for the baby. He went along without hesitation, not realizing he was being set up, because his fiancée not only knew beforehand that Kyo's two best friends were filming there, and would definitely see them, but she also sent a photo of her pregnant self to Kyo with the caption, "Carrying Pop's child." Kyo was immediately devastated, completely unaware that Lotta just didn't want to see her happy. At this point, you could call her the ultimate trashy girl. On one hand, she clung to Pop, and on the other, she was still messing around with her boyfriend, but she had no idea that she would eventually get caught. Ongwan accidentally caught her being intimate with her boyfriend. Pop, who knew nothing about any of this, suddenly received an offer from a very famous film crew to play the male lead, but on the condition that Kyo play the villainous role. Pop never expected that they would get a chance to be together legitimately so soon. When Kyo's film crew got the notice, they only knew that the original cast was invited back, but the male lead hadn't been decided yet. Before long, the first day of filming arrived. Just as everyone was giving interviews and expressing their excitement about the mysterious male lead, Pop suddenly appeared looking incredibly dashing. And so, the two began to show off their sweet romance, having eyes only for each other. In the following days, Pop used filming as an excuse to confess his love to Kyo. The two looked like a match made in heaven. However, neither of them knew that Pop's mom had secretly arranged for Athit to report all their actions to her. Knowing that opportunities were scarce, Pop not only openly showed his affection for Kyo, but also insisted on taking her out to dinner. But Pop didn't realize that to Kyo, who was watching a happy family of three across from them, all his confessions of love seemed ridiculous. Facing an angry Kyo, Pop had absolutely no idea that Lotta had posted a provocative message. He hurriedly chased after her. Kyo didn't explain the situation clearly, but she bluntly suggested breaking up. Unexpectedly, not only did Pop not give up, but he also planned to win her over with his actions. Kyo acted angry because his timing was off. If they got secretly photographed, she'd be the one facing the consequences. Just as they were tussling, sure enough, the media snapped some pictures, but the two of them had no idea. At the same time, the wife got the news and called her husband right away. Naturally, Prang found out about it too. As a result, right when Pat confessed her feelings to Pop again, he never dreamed that this time his father wouldn't be able to sit still. He went straight to see Kyo, using insulting words to humiliate her, and he even publicly suggested firing her and removing her name from the film crew. But the very next second, seeing his son show up at the hotel, seemingly knowing his secret, he had to compromise and agree to let Kyo return to the film crew, but only for professional cooperation. At this point, Pop thought everything was settled, but just as he dealt with his father, his mother started causing trouble. She not only invited Kyo to the house without telling her son, but also humiliated her right in front of Pat. Out of politeness, Kyo didn't fight back at all. Pop knew absolutely nothing about this. Blaming Kyo for ignoring him, he tracked her down and took the chance to confess his feelings. But he didn't expect Kyo to ruthlessly reject him and tell him not to bother her anymore. Because, putting aside what his parents did to her, the fact that his fiancée was pregnant alone was unforgivable. Rick didn't understand what was going on at all. However, what surprised Pop the most was that Kyo's two best friends secretly became the ultimate wingmen, exposing that Lotta was pregnant with a foreigner's child. At the same time the misunderstanding was cleared up, Kyo got a call from the film crew telling her to come back. Although she had forgiven Pop regarding his fiancée, Because of his parents' previous warnings and insults, Kyo didn't want them to keep getting involved. She acted close to Ongwan, intending to make Pop misunderstand, and even made their on-screen romance seem real during filming, telling Pop to stop struggling in despair. But there was no way Pop wouldn't realize Kyo's intentions. He called to tell her he missed her and said, "You can torture me however you want, just don't torture yourself anymore. I really love you." Kyo was heartbroken, but she still lied to him. "I don't have feelings for you anymore. We are not from the same world. Our relationship will end along with this movie." "That's impossible," Pop replied. "My feelings for you will never change." At the same time, to prove his feelings, he used filming as an excuse to force a kiss on Kyo, not knowing he almost put her in the hot seat again. Seeing Pop wouldn't let go, Kyo grabbed Ongwan's hand right in front of Pat on the film set. Even so, Pat didn't give up and continued to add fuel to the fire. "It's great if you can switch your target to someone else. If not, Auntie said she'll invite you over for dinner again." Because of this, Kyo's two best friends finally found out she had been invited to Pop's house by his mother to be humiliated. Seeing Kyo covered in scars, Goldie finally couldn't take it anymore. "You are truly too weak," her friend said. "You always use tears to get pity from others. You are so cruel. When someone loves you, you have the heart to watch them suffer more than yourself. Why can't you let yourself be a little happier? If you don't choose to be yourself and keep going on like this, I will cut ties with you and won't be your friend anymore." Unexpectedly, her best friend's words made Kyo even more heartbroken. At the same time, her guy friend really couldn't hold back either, blaming Kyo for being too weak and not knowing how to fight back or stand up for herself, whether it was about family or Pop. For a moment, Kyo felt alienated by everyone. Suspecting that Kyo's change in attitude had something to do with his father, Pop called him. However, what he absolutely didn't expect was that the person answering the phone was that girl from last time. This time he bluntly asked who she was. But the time wasn't right, so how could that girl reveal her identity? Afterwards, facing Mrs. Kusi's questioning about why no one answered his phone the last few times, Mr. Chan hurriedly made up a vague excuse that he was sick and slept at the office. Unexpectedly, his wife blurted out, "Not only is that poor, low-class Kyo seducing our son, but even her sister has sold herself to some tycoon." She had no idea that person was her own husband. Before long, the film crew's celebration party arrived. Pop's mother refused to let him attend no matter what, suggesting he help his father manage the company instead. However, she didn't know that her son and husband had a rare moment of telepathy. Seeing his father claim he had work to do, Pop knew exactly what was going on but pretended not to. He gave Pop some money, and the father and son went their separate ways. Kyo surely wouldn't expect that Pop, who said he wouldn't come, showed up right on time. Remembering the time she hurt Pop, along with her best friend's blunt advice, Kyo finally decided to be true to herself. She went up on stage and sang a song to confess her feelings to Pop. Right after that, they made up like before, not only going out to eat and have fun but also encouraging each other. But neither of them knew that Mr. Chan would never accept them staying together. He told Prang, "If they stubbornly refuse to listen, I'll have to make a sacrifice to save the game and blacklist Kyo." However, he didn't expect this action to provoke her. While he wasn't paying attention, she used a strange number to text his wife. "Your husband and I are together, Mrs. Kusi." Was immediately in shock. When he returned home and faced his wife's questioning, he continued to lie that he had just finished entertaining guests, totally unaware that his wife had found a clue. But she didn't expose him. Instead, she called Athit and asked him to help her track her husband, in addition to tracking Kyo and her son. He didn't understand what was going on and still used work as an excuse to sneak off and find the young girl, not knowing he was being followed by Athit. At this point, Kyo's sister saw that the time was almost right. She wanted to clear the path for her sister to marry Pop. So she suggested to Mr. Chan that she wanted to try her hand at a small business, but she needed some capital to get started. He agreed immediately without hesitating. Perhaps Mr. Chan had absolutely no idea he was about to lose everything. Prang thought her sister would get what she wanted soon enough, but she didn't know that when Kyo got home, she suddenly overheard from her parents' argument that she wasn't her mother's biological daughter. Cinderella finally couldn't suppress her love for the young master anymore and gave herself to him. However, the next day she disappeared without a trace. But remembering the sweet scene when Kyo came to him, Pop was incredibly smug. He immediately took out the large diamond ring he had bought at a jewelry store to go meet Kyo. And then, he never dreamed that the person waiting for him would be his father. Mr. Chan calmly replied, "I'll show you a big show in a moment. I don't want you to be deceived anymore." As a result, Pop hid in the shadows and witnessed with his own eyes Kyo coming to meet his father. She not only accepted another large check his father gave her but also openly stated, "The only reason I approached your son was because of his family background. It can save me decades of hard work." Kyo thought everything ended there. Unexpectedly, Pop appeared with tears in his eyes. He was clearly devastated. Just a moment ago they were making eternal vows. Yet now he was being betrayed by the woman he loved the most. Although Kyo was heartbroken, she tried to hold back her tears and act calm. With things at this point, she was afraid she would give herself away if she stayed longer, so she hurriedly stood up to leave. But Pop chased after her relentlessly, begging in pain and even hugged her tightly, refusing to let go. He kept asking Kyo if she was suffering from some hidden burden. However, Kyo was determined to draw a line, her every reply intentionally rubbing salt in Pop's fresh wound. Aside from being handsome, I don't see any other good points in you. Watching Kyo's attitude change faster than flipping a page, Pop could only stay silent, stunned for a few seconds, unable to tell which of her words were true and which were false. As for Kyo, she just calmly walked away. The reason Kyo became like this was because in just a few short days, she had to go through terrifying events. First, she found out she wasn't her mother's biological daughter. Years ago, her foster mother was just a servant in the house. She took advantage of her biological mother's serious illness to secretly have an affair with her father, causing her mother to die of resentment. Right after that shock, she went to Pop for comfort. Just when she thought they were about to start sweet days together, unexpectedly their happiness was short-lived, as his fiancée suddenly intervened. She called Pop saying her child issue was resolved and she would fly back to marry him immediately. After consecutive shocks, Kyo discovered unusual signs in her body. Going to the hospital for a checkup, she was diagnosed with cancer by the doctor. But that still wasn't the worst part, because her younger sister, in order to quickly ruin Pop's father's reputation, was openly dating him. Unfortunately, this scene was captured by Athit. He followed them and discovered their shady relationship. Immediately after, Athit used this video to blackmail Kyo, forcing her to become his woman, or else the video would be released. With her current status, he said he would drive her to a dead end. Kyo initially planned to compromise alone and just live out the rest of her life. But remembering every moment with Pop, she couldn't bear it. So she injured Athit and ran away. Unexpectedly, he pushed his luck and blackmailed her for money. When she found her sister to get to the bottom of it, Kyo realized she did it to take revenge for her. Prang's plan was about to succeed. She just needed to get a sum of money and she'd be done. After thinking for a long time, Kyo told her sister, Athit already has the video of you too. While things haven't blown up yet. Stop it. I'll take care of the money for you. So after all the overwhelming events, when Kyo thought she had lost everything, she made the first move with Pop. Actually, she did it willingly. She'd rather give herself to the man she loved most to end this life than be humiliated by someone like Athit. But after that sweet moment, she still proactively called Mr. Chan and arranged to meet him. In reality, she intentionally let Pop hear everything so he would completely give up hope on her. But she had absolutely no idea that her drastic and confusing actions had truly hurt Pop deeply. Pop had already settled things with his fiancée when she returned. Before that, fearing his fiancée would flip-flop and play the victim, Pop brought out a recorded video where she admitted to being pregnant. Just like that, she lost this game completely. Filled with resentment, as soon as she got the money, the first thing Kyo did was find Athit and give it to him. She thought he would stop causing trouble, not knowing he was a bottomless pit. After the heartbreak, Kyo returned home to see her foster mother and forgave the years of abuse. After all, she didn't throw her away, which counts as doing her duty. Right after that, she gathered the whole family, shared all her savings with everyone, and also confessed her illness, saying she was about to let go of everything, because the doctor said if she didn't focus on treatment right away, it would be too late. The family couldn't believe their ATM was breaking down. Right then, they all offered to change and turn their lives around. Then she gave money to Prang, putting out her idea of going abroad to develop her career. Prang was extremely touched by her sister's sacrifice for the whole family and promised to cut ties with Mr. Chan immediately. Thinking it was all over, unbeknownst to them at the same time, Pop was so disappointed that he agreed to all his mother's demands, including marrying Lotta. As a result, when Kyo saw their wedding poster at the airport on her way abroad for treatment, she couldn't help but feel heartbroken. However, just as Pop gave up on everything and held the wedding with his fiancée, at the critical moment, the scheming Pat didn't give up and came to crash the party. She publicly exposed that Pop's fiancée not only had given birth but also invited both the boyfriend and the baby to the ceremony. Just like that, the wedding was completely ruined. And what people knew even less was that seeing how easily they got money from Kyo with a video, Athit and his girlfriend's greed surged. He directly arranged to meet Pop's mom and got straight to the point. This time, the two of them continued to use her to catch a bigger fish. He told her, "Such an important video, if leaked, your family will be ruined. How about I keep it safe for you? And you just pay a storage fee every year?" However, this bottomless greed and excessive demand directly provoked Mrs. Kusi. During the struggle, she accidentally pushed Athit down the stairs. In the end, he had to pay the price for his greed. Dum saw her lover die horribly and, in a fit of rage, posted the video of the shocking secret about Mr. Chan online. Before long, a series of his scandals were exposed one after another. He collapsed along with them. His wife, in a fury, just wanted to fight him to the death right there. Luckily, at the critical moment, both children stepped in to stop them. Because of her sister's situation, Kyo couldn't go abroad smoothly. She was extremely angry. Unexpectedly, Pop came to her house because Prang's appearance had ruined his family. With all his pent-up frustration, Pop lashed out bitterly at Kyo's family in front of her. Cars, watches. Aren't these the things you people admire? I give them all to you. I really regret knowing a poor and lowly family like yours. Meanwhile, seeing the girl he truly loved had left him, Mr. Chan called her in extreme agony, knowing Prang was about to go abroad and they would never meet again. In a rush, he chased after her to the airport for love. He didn't know his wife had overheard the phone call. Seeing Mr. Chan begging in pain, Prang refused him without hesitation. Unexpectedly, the wife walked up, and without saying a word, the two women rushed to fight each other. Luckily, the reluctant onlookers managed to stop them in time. The girl mocked them, blaming them for looking down on the poor, only to be taken down by the poor now. After speaking, she calmly walked away. Unexpectedly, she calmly took out the weapon she had prepared. Just like that, Kyo's sister's face was disfigured right in front of everyone. At this moment, Pop's father, hiding behind a wall, couldn't just stand and watch anymore and rushed to help. Here, it's clear that this action of Mr. Chan was enough to prove his sincerity to the young girl. When Kyo got the notice and ran to the hospital, she heard Prang's miserable, agonizing screams. The whole family was heartbroken. Elsewhere, Pop's mother turned herself in. At the same time, Kyo also represented her parents to give a statement. Unexpectedly, the two of them had to face each other in such an awkward situation. And clearly money talks, Mrs. Kusi was bailed out on the spot by her son. Because of the worry, Kyo's illness got worse. Unexpectedly, seeing this, Pop not only didn't comfort her but also mocked her, accusing her of acting to get pity. I can't believe your whole family is so dirty. Kyo didn't want to justify herself, letting him insult her. Afterwards, seeing his father collapse from love, Pop took over the company directly and quickly took it to new heights. At this time, Kyo's condition was much worse, and even her doctor had to give a warning. Before leaving, she personally brought the watch Pop left when he came to insult her last time to return it to him. Unexpectedly, she was once again mocked by him in every way. And until now, Pop still had no idea Kyo was critically ill. After that, Pop quickly threw himself into work, occasionally having romantic rumors. Finally, Pop's mom visited Kyo's sister and regretted what she had done. But clearly, that young girl with the ruined face didn't want to forgive her. After chasing her away, she returned the check to Pop and confessed the whole truth, including that her sister had a terminal illness. The reason she set it up for you to hate her was in hopes that if she was gone, you would miss her less. Pop was dazed, tears in his eyes, his heart breaking. It turns out, all this time he had misunderstood Kyo. Immediately after, Pop started his journey to win back his first love. You could say even if he had to travel thousands of miles or search the whole world, he would find Kyo to make it up to her. Finally, Kyo's two best friends were moved by his sincerity and told him her whereabouts. At this point, after treatment, Kyo no longer had her radiant look like before. But clearly, no matter what she became in Pop's eyes, she was still the most beautiful. After confessing to Kyo, he gave her the diamond ring he never had the chance to give. Time passed, overcoming thousands of rough waves. Finally, the two became a model couple in the entertainment industry, receiving blessings from everyone. That's the end of the whole movie. Remember to like and follow the channel to be the first to watch the latest videos.